So George Osborne and Ed Balls have teamed up on a new podcast. The show will tackle the big economic issues. Osborne gleefully announced on Twitter, "If you told me 10 years ago I'd team up with Ed Balls, I'd never have believed you. But life is full of great surprises. This autumn, my frenemy and I will bring you a podcast that will explain how political decisions are really made and explore the big economic questions we face." I think this is one of the least surprising things to have happened in politics. If you told me 10 years ago that the architect of 330,000 social murders would have teamed up with a Labour MP, I would have immediately believed you. This chummy Westminster elitist attitude is rather sick, don't you think? I deplore this kind of behaviour that those who not only supposedly have huge ideological differences, but also have implemented them, which has caused mass destruction, is all fine because we are grown-ups who disagree and respect each other. They're frenemies. Of course, Ed Balls and George Osborne, and both political parties by extension, don't have different ideological views, which is the major problem in British politics. Specifically Ed Balls, they pretty much agree on everything. Those hoping that a Labour government would look very different from the current Conservative-led government are likely to be disappointed. Asked by the Today programme what he would reverse from Osborne's budget yesterday, Ed Balls replied that there was nothing. From yesterday, to be honest. There's nothing I'm saying to you from yesterday I would reverse, he said. That was, of course, from the Miliband days, but not much has changed. That's pretty much the position of the Labour Party today. This isn't a democracy. Instead, we have the capital A party in blue and the capital B party in red. We do have huge economic questions. In fact, the only question we have is why won't anyone do anything about it? But I can answer that. Our political system squeezes out genuine alternatives, and those that rise to the top are the ones who don't delineate from the status quo. There's no anger in politics, yet if you look around you, there's so much to be angry about. Homelessness, inequality, racism, bigotry, and of course, the climate catastrophe. But thank God we've got two political heavyweights chumming it up on a podcast, because that's what adult politics is. If you want solutions to problems, that's not the Westminster vibe. Rather, it's a club of people who broadly share the same interests, and if you truly want to change society for the better, well, you're sneered at. Remember when Laura Pidcock was attacked because she said she wouldn't be friends with any Tory MPs? That's the right attitude if you ask me. What about Nye Bevan when he said the Tories were lower than vermin? That's a man who was principled and passionate. He didn't care about making friends. His job was to serve. That's the job of all our politicians. Despite taking a fat salary, they don't represent the working class. They love the comfortable lifestyle. They don't want to give that up, which is precisely why most of Parliament hate Corbyn and a handful of left MPs, because they held a mirror up to them. They were worried that someone like Corbyn actually took his job seriously and worked hard, meaning that, shit, he's making them look bad. That's what the so-called heavyweight politicians want, an easy life, palling around with each other because it's a lot easier than to actually represent their constituents. This is why we won't solve the major crises we have. One, because they're clueless, but two, they don't want to. It's an insult to those affected by austerity. It's an insult to those who were killed from it. If I was an MP, I wouldn't dare sit next to a man who helped murder over 300,000 people through the state, let alone start a cringeworthy, pathetic podcast with him.